Yeah, I'll react to that, sure. Hey guys, let's go. Ow. Okay. I just got back from the gym. I'm trying to go to the gym more often, and it's fun. But my arms are. I guess it's nice. Uh, Original link to the video from International Carl, top of the description. Preemptive like. I'm subscribed. Let's go. I like these videos. They might seem a little redundant, but I don't think it is. Even if when it's different people giving the lists, even if they bring up the same points, it's nice to see different perspectives, from people that have lived in both places. So let's go.
Hey guys,
Hey.
welcome back to my channel. It's me, International Carl, doing another video. This one is going to be a continuation about life in the UK. For those that don't know, I've lived in Europe for the last 10 years or 11 years now that I think about it.
Wow.
I came to Italy in 2009, spent some time in France, spent some time in Germany, and spent most of my time here in the UK. So I have a pretty broad perspective of what life is like in Europe in general, but also what life like is in the UK. And I have to admit, unfortunately, that there are things that are done in the UK that are way better than the United States. So I have to admit. But before I really get started, please take the time to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and leave a comment below and tell me some of the thoughts or ideas that you think I could make for another video. And also, while you're down there, tell me what you think about some of these things that are better in the UK than the US. Do you agree or do you disagree?
Well, I'm not qualified really to really say that. I have been to Europe, but nothing like the experience he has. So maybe I'll give my opinions, but weigh that opinion accordingly. Let's go.
So without any order, let's get into it. One thing that I think is better in the UK are the wall outlets, the plugs, the sockets. Matter of fact, hold on one second. Let me get...
The three-prong.
I'm back. So I think the three-pronged outlet is better here than it is in the US. I know it's a little small thing, but what I mean is these you can just self-wire up. I remember when I was doing the Rolls-Royce Derby House conversion, when I needed an extra outlet for a wire and it couldn't reach, all I did was literally cut this off and I could just rewire this outlet. You see them in the shops all the time. They're loose. And so anybody can wire it up. It's really simple to wire this outlet up. But also, the way I think it's better is just the design. I think it works better. It keeps things in the wall. They don't.
Yeah, it does look like even the three-prong one from the US. I would have to unplug like my computer to show you. But the three-prong in the US is kind of a circular thing at the top or the bottom, depending on what how you see it, and then two vertical ones for the bottom. And the two-prong ones are even worse. They can easily fall out of a socket. Even the three-prong one over here, it can sometimes fall out of the socket. This looks a lot more secure.
It's better. It's just the design. I think it works better. It keeps things in the wall. They don't come out as easy. So if someone was to trip on it or pull on it, it wouldn't just pop out the outlet that easy. One thing that is better in the United Kingdom than the United States is, drum roll, the National Health Service.
Okay.
That's the obvious one. And I'll tell you why. It's not that the U.S. system is terrible. It is great for those who have money and can afford it. But the difference here in the United Kingdom is healthcare is seen as a right and not a privilege. And I think the two are very different when you look at the United States versus the United Kingdom. Where here, you can be seen by a doctor and it costs you nothing. Imagine not going in an ambulance in the United States because there's people who won't go in an ambulance. Think about this. Won't go in an ambulance because they don't have the best healthcare insurance.
The worst part about it is, again, is ambulance rides and preventative care. It would be great to have everything for reasonable price or free, but if I could just have those things free, At least let people not be afraid and take a risk with something acute, or you could say both acute and something that's ongoing, is at least make it free for people to go and check up in case they're worried about they might be developing something. Because the mindset, just knowing that, like, well, if nothing's wrong with me, then I'm just going to spend a few $100s or something for nothing, right? Or if I think I'm injured right now, I don't want to take an ambulance, because what if it's not as bad as it looks, right? If you think you're going to die or something, then sure, you're going to call an ambulance, but you shouldn't have to be forced to that end, to where, like, if you don't have enough money to pay for it, then you need to know if it's like a life or death situation to call an ambulance. And or if there are signs of cancer or signs of some kind of ailment you might have, or you just want to see if, blood work and just see if everything is okay, then I think that should be free. You shouldn't have people gamble if they're taking the initiative in the first place to try and see if anything's wrong with them. And that's just going to make people have to have even more costly surgeries if they don't get some checkups. And then they're like, boom, now you definitely have a bad illness, and you might not live through it, and or you're going to have an even more expensive procedure than if you found it in the first place. I explained that pretty horribly, sorry, but I hope I got my point across. Preventative care and ambulance rides should be free.
This won't go in an ambulance because they don't have the best health care insurance, and they have to think about the cost of that ambulance ride, how much that's going to cost. I remember as a kid, I think my little cousin had to go in an ambulance, and I might have been about 13, 14 at the time, but there was a bill for like $800 that came for this ambulance ride, and I thought that was crazy. I didn't realize that you even had to pay to go in the ambulance. But we're talking about the UK, not the US. So for me personally, I've used the National Health Service several times, but the most recent time was only a couple weeks ago when I've been struggling with my breathing. I literally just walked into a walk-in center, saw a nurse, they did some tests on me. Within 15 minutes, I was subscribed an inhaler, and I was out the door. Free of charge, didn't cost me nothing. A couple years back, I had to get emergency surgery. Yes, I went in around 8 o'clock.
That'll be like $80 for the checkup and $250 for the inhaler. Thank you very much. Also, I'm pausing before I'm going to go back 10 seconds. Crap, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. The idea of having to pay like $800 for an ambulance trip, something that is so, like, people aren't going to call an ambulance unless they are really scared for their life or had some bad injury. Maybe if you just had a broken arm, but something that isn't obviously life-threatening, then you might drive to the hospital, right, and then pay a big bill there. But it's sort of akin to being like, okay, we'll come get you if you need to go to the hospital in an ambulance, but you have to pay for the gas. And even that's a little insulting and ridiculous, right? But that's better than having to pay $800. And I'm wondering where that cost comes from. So you have the cost, the wear and tear on the vehicle, and the cost of gas, which, I mean, wear and tear for one ride is going to be close to nothing. And then gas is going to be, what, like $20 worth of gas, maybe? And then just the time of the healthcare professionals. I wonder where that $800, which I tend to hear a lot about for a standard ambulance trip, where they get that number from.
Subscribed an inhaler, and I was out the door. Free of charge, didn't cost me nothing. A couple years back, I had to get emergency surgery. Yes, I went in around 8 o'clock at night. They said they were going to operate on me that night. However, they said come back in the morning because I wasn't, in terms of the pecking order, I wasn't that high up. But I came in the next morning, and the next morning I was operated on, and it was done. And this is the same, this is only 12 hours after the initial diagnosis of the problem that I had. And within about 12
it's crazy.
to 20 hours from that, I was operated on, and everything was clear. And it didn't cost me anything.
That's one of the big antithesis I hear is that, well, yeah, it's free, but because everyone gets it, you're going to have to wait months. Well, it's clearly not the case in this instance.
Not the hotel. The hospital stay didn't cost me anything. The follow-up treatments didn't cost me anything. It was free of charge. A third thing that is better in the United Kingdom than in the United States, and I touched on this on a previous video, is that transportation. So in the United Kingdom, you don't necessarily have to have a car to get around. Whether you want to go to work, whether you want to go see a friend, whether you want to go on a long journey, you don't necessarily need a car to do those things, because you can take a train, you can take a bus, you can walk in town if you want to go get your groceries. I mean, when I first moved to the United Kingdom, I knew somebody who actually lived in London but took the train up every morning to go to work in Derby, some hour-and-a-half drive. Now, this person lived right next to the train station in London, so he had like a 5-10 minute walk to the train station, so it was really close and easy. But then the company actually sent a bus. There was a working bus that just went in a circular route that would pick people up from the train station to drop them off at work, free of charge. So you can literally get to work without a car if you want to. So yes, that's why some people don't have driver's license. Some people don't have cars.
I've heard that, which is pretty shocking. Not having a driver's license over here when, you know, you're in your, even if you're 18 or 18 and you don't have a driver's license, it's a little bit like, wait, why didn't you get your driver's test? I would love to hear, and this goes for any of the points brought up so far or in the rest of the video, any sort of antithesis, any sort of bad ramification or some trade-off you guys have to make. Maybe you might say, well, there isn't a trade-off. I'm not saying that something you say is going to debunk it, but if there's nothing wrong, nothing inconvenient about some system compared to another, I get a little suspicious. Do you know what I mean? I'm not trying to say like, oh, there's no way it's better than the USA. It definitely is. But I would like to know, even if it's not a big deal, if there's any sort of trade-off or bad thing with some of the things he's mentioning, you know? I'd appreciate that, guys.
If you want to get around, if I wanted to go to Scotland tomorrow, I would literally consider driving or taking the train, because the train is actually really easy. I've taken the train plenty of places in the United Kingdom. Also, the bus. You can take a bus. There's quick buses. So up here, there's Derby to Nottingham. There's a company called Red Arrow, I believe. And you can just take the bus. It just runs like clockwork. And it just goes to and from. It's a straight bus. I think it has 1, maybe 2 stops. That's it. You go to the main depot in Derby. It drops you off at the main depot in Nottingham.
I also want to say, you know, the United Kingdom is much smaller than the USA, and so part of me wants to say, well, if you're a lot smaller, then you're going to have better stuff. But even in our best area of public transportation, which would be the Mid-East, the Northeast, along the Atlantic, you're still far better. And so that argument kind of falls apart.
Maybe 1, 2 stops. And this is a 45-minute, 30-minute drive on the bus. So it makes it easy to get around. I've taken it a few times when I was younger just to go party in Nottingham. So that way I could drink and not have to drink and drive. So there's one. If I wanted to go from here to London, yes, a lot of times I do drive. I hate driving down there, but it's actually faster to take a train from the Midlands to London, especially the fast train that might have 1, 2 stops.
I wonder if you can drive manual. I sure as hell can't.
I can be down in central London in about an hour and a half, where if I drive to London and I want to get all the way to the...
Sorry, what did he say?
It's actually faster to take a train. I do drive. I hate driving down there, but it's actually faster to take a train from the Midlands to London, especially the fast train that might have 1, 2 stops. I can be down in central London.
So is the Midlands like where Warwickshire... What else is there? That area... Rutland? No, not Rutland. Is it called Midlands? Is it one of the counties called Midlands. Forget it.
And about the fast train that might have 1-2 stops. I can be down in central London in about an hour and a half, where if I drive to London and I want to get all the way to the subsequent stop that the train would take, it might take me 3 hours, just because it only takes about an hour and a half to drive to the outside of London, the M25, but then it could take you a full hour and a half
Traffic.
just to cross London or to get through London, because the speeds are so slow. That's not even talking about trying to find a place to park, how much it costs to park, the congestion charge you might have to pay inside of London, etc., etc., etc. So I find transportation in the United Kingdom that much easier. Where in the United States, I would never consider getting on the bus. I don't know if it's me being bougie or something, but maybe I just always thought poor people took the bus, or never would take a train because there's just not a lot of train services.
There's definitely truth to that mindset over here.
Services in the United States, especially where I'm from on the West Coast. Another thing that the United Kingdom does better than the United States is food cost. So I'll give you some examples. Whenever I go to the United States and
Aldi's?
say I need to stay at an Airbnb for a week, well, I'll go buy all my food. What I will spend in 1 week of shopping in the United States for food at the grocery store, that's the cost that I would buy for groceries for an entire month, maybe even a month and a half. Yes, the items in the United States, like an orange, could be really, really big, so it costs a lot. But here in the United Kingdom, yeah, the fruit might be a little smaller, but the cost of buying the fruit is a lot cheaper. The staples that you will buy: milk,
Eggs,
eggs, flour, butter, meats, for example, all cost less in the United Kingdom than they do the United States.
Some of the, I think Aldi is German, right? But some of the, I think Trader Joe's is also like an offshoot of Aldi. But I hear that a reason for their low pricing is that they focus exactly on those foods, on like the bare essentials that you're always going to buy. So instead of other large shopping centers like Stop and Shop or something, where they have an enormous variety of things and those essentials. And so if you only buy the things that a lot of people buy and not the more random, obscure items, then you can scale down your cost a bit and still be profitable. So that's a nice way of going about it. If you want to find it, I'm sure if you want to find this obscure flavor of Doritos or this strange spice or whatever, yeah, maybe they won't be in there. But if you need your basic foods, then, you know, they're going to have it. It's going to be cheaper.
I find. So for me, I think that the United Kingdom does a better job on the overall cost. So say you wanted to move from the United States to the United Kingdom and you were thinking how much I need to budget per month for food. It is substantially less than what you are doing now in the United States. That's hands down. Say you live in the United States and you're coming to the United Kingdom.
And it's probably better quality food.
To live. Hands down. Say you live in the United States and you're coming to the United Kingdom to live. Maybe you're going to stay for 6 months, a year, or a couple years. Well, if you were thinking about what your budget needs to be for your food, whatever it is in the United States, I would cut it in half, because that's how much it's going to cost you here in the United Kingdom. Well, we'll see with Brexit and how that all plays out. Maybe the cost goes up. But I'm telling you right now, it is actually cheaper in the United Kingdom than it is in the United States for your overall food shopping. By far my favorite thing in the United Kingdom versus the United States
castles
is the work-life balance. Think about this. As an American, you're used to 2 weeks of vacation and a couple of sick days. And that's not by law, but think about it. It's 2 weeks. That's not 14 days. That's 10 days. And that's what you get after working, say, a year. You have to build that time up. So if you start in January 1st, well, nobody starts January 1st, but if you start January 2nd, 3rd, or 4th, whatever the first Monday is of the new year, you know, in the United States, you have to build up all that PTO, all that 2 weeks off that you get. So that might take you to June before you even have 5 days off that you can take. Where in the United Kingdom, you're actually by law supposed to have, I think it's 20 days, maybe even 25 days. I know when I first moved out here, I had 26 days off. So I had 20 days off, and I had 6 lieu days is what they call them, 6 additional days that the company just gave us. So I had 26 days off. Then I still had the national.
But profits. And by European standards, like especially Southern and Southwestern Europe, they have even less, even more of the life in the work-life balance, right, compared to the UK?
Holidays that I could take off, which were like 9 days. And then the other thing was, like, say, Easter. The company that I was working for when I first moved here was Easter Friday you got off, but then you also got Monday and Tuesday off. So if I want to take the following week off and be off nearly a week, I only had to take 3 days off, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and I was off for a week. And remember, I start with 26 days. So
that's on top of that.
If I waited until Easter, I would still have, 23 more days left to take off for the rest of the year. And I've only taken 3 days off, and I was off for a week. Now, the other part is, if you're sick. In the United Kingdom, if you're sick, you're sick. There is no, like, sick days. Where in the United States, I remember working at a big aerospace company before I moved here, I think I got sick. No, I got 6 sick days. And if I used them, that was it. So I was like, if you got sick and you had 7 days off, well, you would have to use your vacation day, your PTO time. Well, there was no such thing here. If I was sick in the United Kingdom, I was just sick. And another bonus is this. Imagine this one. How crazy is this? I'd have to check into this, but I think it's pretty accurate that if I went on vacation here in the United Kingdom for a week, and say I got sick for 2 of those days, so Thursday, Friday, I'm actually sick. When I got back, I could actually claim those 2 days back off my vacation.
Wow. So the American mindset would be more of like, you're just going to take advantage of that, and there's clearly a more trusting atmosphere in employment over in the UK. That's crazy.
Because
in a good way.
I can claim them as sick days. So I got...
It's like, oh my God. It's like, imagine saying that in the US to your boss, like, hey, I just got back from my vacation, but by the way, 2 days of that vacation, I was sick, so those don't count. You actually get to do that over here.
Food poisoning for 2 days, and I was sick. Well, instead of those 2 days being for vacation, I would come back, reclaim those as vacation days. Not vacation days. I'd reclaim them as sick days and still get my 2 days back, and I could use them later in the year. Amazing. But the other thing is that those 20 days off I get on January 1st or the first Monday. I don't have to build them up. Yes, if I was to leave the job early, I'd have to pay those back, but it's assumed that you're going to work the year. So you have those days on February 3rd. If I want to take January 15th off or February 13th off, I could. If I need to take a week off, I could. I would already have the week there. So these are the top 5 things that I think the United Kingdom does better than the United States. You tell me what you think about it. You tell me if I'm right, wrong, or if that's crazy. Just give me an idea. Let me know in the comments. Thank you.
So, I mean, I can't say anything that he said is right or wrong. I mean, I don't have the experience he does anywhere close. But there does seem to be, on the last point, a lot of more of a trusting employer-employee relationship in jobs and in businesses, employment. That's really cool. I feel like that'd be crazy over here, or to the employer over here. That was really cool. I'm gonna check out some of the comments actually. I'm a little curious. Check out like 2 or 3. I was born in London and I'm the son of Irish parents. When I was a kid, my old man deserted us, 4 kids and a wife, and he went back to Ireland. It was the UK state system that clothed us, fed us, and put a roof over our heads. Even our school dinners were free. That's right. We had to pay for school lunches. Seems a little strange. Do you guys do that? Do you have to pay? Did anyone pay for school lunches, or do you get that for free? I don't know where we would have ended up without their help. I'm well into my 50s now, and I'm forever grateful for what the UK have done for us. Oh, God. The U.S. has such a transactional relationship, a transactional, untrustable relationship with just everyone that I feel like we don't even think that way a lot of the time. That, you know, if we treat people well, then maybe in the future, you know, they'll be thankful for it and just be a, you know, a greater and better citizen or whatever. It's like, nope, it's right now. What can you do for me? Get out. I mean, that's awesome. I came over from Yugoslavia. My husband is English. I keep saying that this is the best place on earth to live regarding the human rights, and it's getting better by the day. Saying that Brits love to moan about the weather, and so do I. After being here for over 25 years, I'm officially British. It's great. Fantastic. Great video. Love y'all. Hope you're all doing well. Would appreciate any comments down below. I'm not asking you guys to like make up antitheses to this stuff just to make me more trusting, right? If there isn't a con to it as opposed to a pro, then there isn't one. But I just be curious everyone's varying opinions here. Love y'all. See you guys next time. Bye.